Karyakin concerning migration of the Steppe Eagle from Altai-Sayan region.
Здравствуйте.
Hello. My presentation will be on migration of Steppe Eagle, not about its poor existence in this world. And I will tell you about migration of Altai-Sayan Steppe Eagles that we started studying since 2013. Okay. So you can see the map with the breeding range of Steppe Eagle, and this is the region where we started tagging our Steppe Eagles during several recent years. And you can see, or you can see this isolated location. So these are steppe hollows, which are surrounded by taiga forests from all sides. So this distribution of the Steppe Eagle around these hollows is just presented like this. So the red spotted, so these are nests that we visit regularly. I did not just provide those which are not visited regularly, just not to overburden you. But so all people just think of the Steppe Eagles that they have nests in the plain steppe. But everything is changing in our Altai-Sayan region. So the Steppe Eagle breeding range is from hollows to the steppe and forest and to alpine mountains, and so it just has nests even under the glaciers. And here, so this is the only stable population of the species, which in spite of the high mortality of birds, is really very young, because up to 50% of the pairs have very young partners, and it has not been declining since for a long period of time. There are some drops, of course. There are some declines and some small reductions at some locations, but then the population recovers quite fast. Certain idea of migration of Steppe Eagles from our population is presented here by highlighted in blue oval. We just got that idea based on our ringing efforts, and we could understand where birds go for their wintering season. But we would like just to study it in more detail, their migration routes. And finally, since 2013 through 2023, we tagged 30 Steppe Eagles, mainly with Aquila, Trackers, Druid, Ecatone, two of them, and with one with Norwegian GPS collar transmitter. And our eagles since 2013 through 2023 just showed that mess of, tracks from which we just arrive at some regularities. I'm not going just to focus on figures, but we have two publications which provide partially processed data on Steppe Eagles. Most important things will be touched by me, most interesting. The first thing that we managed to identify when just studying the migrating Steppe Eagles, we understood that the main route is like circum-Himalayan migration corridor, like bypassing all Central Asian paths. And we got information about threats just to the birds. So the circle shows migration route, which after the poisoning in Mongolia and when like the big decline of the species in Western Mongolia and in Tuva, so just lost its significance. But nevertheless, we still have some migrating birds. And if you look at the wind map of Kazakhstan, you will see that the main migration route just goes along this ecotone corridor, where the wind velocity is quite moderate, and they are bordering the territories without any winds, and actually is formed by the thermal spikes and drops. And you can see that the two big wind corridors are formed crossing this migration route, which goes into Ili mountains and Karatau, meaning that our eagles cross 4 mountain ridges with strong winds, where strong winds occur. Let's get back to the migration picture. The second interesting thing that we found out as a result of our survey is like wintering places, locations which were not known before that in Turkmenistan. I will tell about them later, but where the wintering occurs of those birds, there is a concentration before the next flight, actually. And so this is like bifurcation point where the Steppe Eagles just choose their either eastern or western routes, going either to Iran or Saudi Arabia. And so you can see that here 3 routes are just formed. Like birds select either to go through the eastern part of Iraq or Afghani, or just dive into these hollow between the Iranian and Afghanian ranges, so with a very wide valley with the wind velocity exceeding 100 kilometers. Not every bird can just go through this, but still they prefer passing through the mountainous area. And accordingly, there are birds, as you could see from the tracks, that go to the wintering locations. We have like one mean bird which just went to India, spent winter in the Ind River, and then it just didn't like that place and went to Oman. And there is one small detail that we identified, which is that not always birds go to within their autumn corridors, which are marked in red arrows, so they do not follow them in spring. In spring, so they just shift. I mean, the birds that cross Karatau, you can see it here. So this black line, black curve. So this is Karatau ridge, and if so in fall they just go closer to Talas Alatau, to the eastern part. In autumn, I mean, then in spring they just stick to the western part. Of course, it all depends on the wind, because eagles just want to have this to follow the direction of the wind, and because they do not just as they are blown off from Karatau in autumn, then the most concentration of migration birds shifting when crossing Karatau, and if Chuili is the most migration barrier maybe for autumn migration, then in spring all the birds prefer following the western route. And the most important thing we identified is that all our Altai-Sayan eagles, before getting matured, just spend all their life in all the time in the western part of Kazakhstan. You can see this highest concentration of the birds in the western part of central Kazakhstan. The situation in Kazakhstan defines the situation with the steppe eagle in Siberia and Western Mongolia. So they just migrate to rather big territories, along big territories. And the next picture just shows summer routes, thousands of kilometers. And young bird just can migrate from Western Mongolia to Western Kazakhstan and then return back. And this is the peculiarity we didn't know before. And they just played a joke with that when we just tried to carry out calibration of our isotopic data. So when we just collected our birds which died under the transmission lines in Kalmykia, and we found out that their feathers were dated by different periods of time in different locations in Eurasia. I will be brief because I lack time. So what would be better to talk about? So the earliest birds that we just tagged, they returned back. So one of them is breeding already. So other ones started or formed their pairs and they just started constructing or building their nests. And the territories that were occupied by males, so they are located at 30, 40, not more than 50 kilometers from their natal nests. I would say that the majority of the young eagles that returned back to their natal nests, they found out that their parents died during 4 years at all the breeding ranges. So the population of the breeding pairs just is replaced, meaning so there are of course deaths on the nest or under the nest due to certain reasons, like for example hit by crows or eaten up by dogs. But the major reason why the parents do not return back is because they wintering mortality. So you can see in the western part of Kazakhstan, like adult female, she just came to the western part, so just found out that there is no diet there, situation with the diet is quite poor, and returned back to her natal range. And when the males just become adults, so they just keep an eye on their territory, protect their territories, and they do not behave like this. And the big issue that we were talking about is that the population becomes younger due to mortality rate. And our telemetry shows that the mortality rate of steppe eagle is quite high. So this crosses show the results of the deaths of our birds tagged with trackers, and these are 40% of all the cases tracked. 12 of them due to electrocution, 3 from poisoning. So one of them just poisoning, and one is collision with the transmission line pole, and 4 of them reasons are not identified. This is how it looks like. So birds are killed. Here I would like to say that I would like just to tell about the year of 2020. So unique experience during pandemic time. Thanks to pandemic, so the factor of disturbance was declined. There was no hunting, no tourists, and the young steppe eagles went for migration like for 20 or maybe some 20 or 30 days later, when all the matured birds left. They did not go too far. One female steppe eagle just spent winter like with a view to Junga mountains. Other ones just tried to just spend winter in Zaysan and Turkey. But this female Bella returned back to your wintering location, all others died, and she just spent winter like at a snow cover, like at the elevation like 2,000 meters, and so within the range of temperatures of up to or down to -40, like 2 winters. Actually, she spent. So these are how steppe eagles feel coming cyclone. You know, like 10 kilometers before, 10 kilometers before cyclone comes, so they can see it and they just return back. So this is Kenjik, which just changed migration before the cyclone. So one, for example, you can see that this pink route shows the route of migration of the bird. So which approaches the mountains, then bypasses the cyclone by contour, and then joins birds that migrate from central Mongolia and just which are going to Himalaya by eastern route. The other issue that we identify is the death of our steppe eagles due to botulism poisoning. We found out that they do not have immunity to this disease, and when we found out such incidents, so we can find the carcasses of our ringed birds, so quite interesting event when our bird was caught, then caught to the boat, spent several days on the boat, and just reached another bank of the river, and then just left. And she's still alive and lives her happy life.
Thank you.